Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Abbas. You are here with Nordscape Living. On this channel, we talk about how to set up an Airbnb for short-term management, how to invest in Airbnb so that you can get to financial freedom quicker. So today we're going to be talking about whether starting an Airbnb business in 2024 is right for you. What do you need to start an Airbnb business? First, and this should be obvious, you need a space to rent. Now this can be a spare bedroom in your home, it can be a second home that you already own, or you might be thinking about buying another short-term rental property that you can set up for an Airbnb or a VRBO. Ideally, you want this place to be in a high foot traffic area or a tourist destination so that you can attract a lot of guests without having to put a lot of effort, especially in marketing, up front. You need to have a knack for managing different things at the same time. You need to know how to work with cleaners, how to work with different tradespeople, and also how to make sure that your place is always in great condition and is maintained very well. But I'm glad you're here because we're going to be talking about those very things on this channel as we continue to put out more videos. Let's get into whether now is the right time to start an Airbnb business or not. There are a couple of things I want to talk about here. First, let's talk about the general macroeconomic climate and what's going on in the economy and how people are spending their money today, and whether the specific month or time of the year is appropriate for you to start an Airbnb. So let's get into the 2023-2024 economic climate. It's no surprise and it's no secret that right now a lot of people in North America, whether you're watching from the US or Canada, are feeling a bit of a pinch financially. Cost of living is really high, wages have stagnated, and that's why people are being very mindful of how they spend their money, specifically when it comes to vacationing and disposable income. What I can tell you is for our property, I'll link it somewhere here, bookings actually have slowed down. We've had to do quite a few things in order to attract the same number of bookings as we had last year in the winter. It's important to note that we're also in winter, so bookings slow down in the winter anyway. Having said that, overall, people are being a lot more mindful of how they're spending their money. And this applies to all things that are discretionary, such as vacations, spending on an Airbnb, going out to eat, going out for movies, so on and so forth. The second thing is, guests are actually looking for cheaper options while vacationing. Now, this is an interesting thing for many Airbnbs to tap into. For a long period of time, especially after COVID, many guests or many people were flying overseas for their vacations because A, a lot of flights had been disrupted during COVID, and B, people were stuck in their own cities for so long that they really wanted to get out. So what's happening now is people are looking for other options locally to spend their money, specifically when it comes to vacationing. Now, I know this might sound contradictory. On one end, there are people who are cutting back on spending on vacations, and on the other end, there are people who are spending more money on vacations locally. What ideally we want to do is people who are spending money on vacations locally, we want to capture and bring them to our Airbnb or our short-term rental so that they can vacation with us. The next thing is seasonality. Now, this specifically has to do with the month or the season of the year when you actually launch your Airbnb. And this might be more relevant to people who already have a room or they already have a second home that they can put on Airbnb in 1 week or 2 weeks' time. The main thing to realize is that the winter months, specifically from January to March, are always slow. The reason is in January, people have just come off of Christmas break. They've probably spent a lot of money buying gifts for their friends and family. Maybe they went on a separate vacation and they're getting back into work. So there just isn't enough money for them to spend on vacations. Secondly, from Jan to March, and this is my own belief, there actually isn't much to look forward to. In North America or in colder climates in general, things outside are pretty gray. It's snowing, it's cold. What are you gonna do? If you have an Airbnb, for example, with a hot tub or a sauna, then it can serve as a great attraction for that crowd. But apart from that, things are generally slow from January until March. So closing the loop on seasonality, the best time to launch an Airbnb, in my opinion, is when you're just getting into busy season. So spring probably is a great time to launch because you have 1 month or maybe 6 weeks to test your waters with your pricing, with your marketing, and your reviews before you start getting some summer booking. So, who is Airbnb for? How do you know if it's right for you? There are a few ways that you can find out whether Airbnb is actually right for you. First, you like providing a great vacationing or hosting experience to guests. I cannot say this enough. Yes, Airbnbs and short-term rentals are a great investment vehicle, but you have to enjoy the process of talking to guests, of marketing your property, of showing them what's around in your area, of listening to their concerns, and then finally of building a relationship with them so that they not only have a great experience the first time, but so that they keep coming back to your Airbnb. If you do not enjoy these things, then Airbnb is not right for you. If you thoroughly enjoy them, then Airbnb might be right for you. Secondly, Airbnb might be right for you if you already have relationships with cleaners, relationships with property managers, relationships with tradespeople who can help you set up and maintain your Airbnb over time. Now, let's talk about who Airbnb is not right for. Airbnb is not for you if you cannot multitask. Let's face it, you are basically running a small business. You are not renting your home to one tenant on an annual lease at a set rent that's supposed to roll in on the first of every month. What you are doing is you are marketing your Airbnb, you are working with cleaners and property managers to manage the operations of your actual space. You sometimes might need to go in yourself and fix something or clean something up. And finally, you are trying to grow your business and your Airbnb year over year over year. That's why if you cannot wear these different hats, at least in the beginning, at the same time, then Airbnb might not be right for you. Secondly, Airbnb might not be right for you if you cannot actually find a good property for Airbnb that's around you. Now, there are many people who might be restricted by the restrictions in their states or in their cities, and therefore they might say, I actually can't find an Airbnb or a space to put up for short-term rentals. In that case, you're kind of stuck, because what you don't want is a property that's 4, 5, 6 hours away, very far from your home, that you now have to manage. If you can't afford another home, if you don't already have a spare bedroom or a second home, then obviously you can't do Airbnb right now. What I don't want people to do is mortgage their homes, go into a lot of debt to get the second property that you want to put on Airbnb. If you were to do that, it would be an extremely risky investment, especially if you do not already have experience in the space to begin with. And finally, Airbnb is not right for you if you cannot manage change. Let's face it, cleaners cancel, guests break things, babies puke on stuff 3 hours before another guest is supposed to check in, your linens are soiled. All of these things happen when you're running a short-term rental. You have to be able to manage them. You have to have contingency plans in place in order to efficiently solve these problems for your property so that it doesn't affect guests. If you can't do these things without getting anxious or without getting really stressed out, then Airbnb might not be bad for you. Remember, you have to be quick on your toes. You have to be good with managing change in order to run a short-term rental successfully. And that's it for today, folks. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. This is my first video. I'm hoping to put out 2 to 3 videos per week to help you invest in and manage an Airbnb so that you can get to financial freedom quicker. Thanks for being with Nordscape Living. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you enjoyed it. And I would love to know what else you would like to see from me. Please leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try to make a long form or a short video specifically for you. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you soon.